Hello and welcome to Find Your Freedom, a podcast dedicated to helping you truly find freedom in all aspects of life. Join your hosts and their expert guests as they share practical tips and strategies for finding more freedom in your life. It's time to take control of your life and create the future you want. Let's find your freedom. Here are your hosts, Lenny the Boss and Omid Rad Investor.
Boom, 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 boom. We are back with another episode of Find Your Freedom. And before we get into our next guest, we have something for you for your journey. You know we have to hook you up. All right. It's easily downloadable, is absolutely free, is packed with nothing but value that's going to help you find your freedom. All you have to do is go to findyourfreedom.com/freedom kit. That's right. findyourfreedom.com/freedom kit. It's free, easily downloadable. Go there, get it. Believe me, you will love it. All right. So with that being said, we have another amazing friend, to the episode here. Me and I, we was hanging out with her on rooftop decks and partying and having so much fun. She's just such an amazing person. She's an amazing interior designer, an award-winning designer and a marketing specialist, I may add. Okay. She has a passion to create since she was a young buck. All right. And she just got off the stage at the NTR Summit in San Diego, where she had the crowd rocking. All right. So with that being said, we're going to bring her on and learn a whole bunch about her and all the value that she's going to provide. Tatiana Taylor Tait, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Lenny, after that, how can I not feel amazing? You need to follow me everywhere. That kind of introduction. People, that's going to really open up this rooms as soon as I walk in. So please come to Canada and I'll pay you to follow me around and announce me that way.
Hey, boom, listen. All right, it's on tape. We got it recorded. I am absolutely ready. And truth be told, I've never been to Canada. So, whenever you want to invite me to come, I am, if you follow me, I jump on planes. I know you don't do Facebook that often. You got a funny joke about Facebook, right? Hopefully you tell it later on, but I'm on planes all the time. So invite me to Canada. So before we jump into, some of the coolness that you got going on, if you could just give the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am so happy to be here today. My name is Tatiana Taylor Tait. I am an award-winning interior designer, short-term rental coach, co-author of the Hospitable Hosts book as well, version 1, and co-founder of the Level Up Your Listing Summit that I do with the amazing Natalie Palmer. And as Lenny already said it, I am a proud Canadian from Vancouver, Canada.
Man, you have quite the resume. I mean, you didn't say that you're all glammed up. You're always like looking like so good with the makeup and the.
I wake up like, okay,
right. I wish we all woke up like this. Yeah, I know. It's impressive. I love it. Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into a little bit just about your backstory. So I think a lot of times people see success, but they don't kind of see the backstories and what leads to success. So maybe you can just give us like a brief history just about yourself and kind of like how it's led you to where you are today.
Yeah, definitely hasn't always been like this. And I think when I was just thinking about getting home from the MTR Summit, and I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, do you guys we hit these achievements and we forget to celebrate them, or we're so like, what's next? What's the next move? There's momentum happening right now. We got to kind of roll with it. And I really wanted to take a moment and self-reflect how far I've actually come. So for those people that have heard my story, they will know a little bit about this. And for those of you that have not, I actually started my journey about 8 years ago. And I was probably going through the darkest period of my life. I got laid off from a job that I was literally giving my all to, working 60 plus hours a week in sales. And I was one of those workers that were like, if I work harder, then I'll advance and the people will recognize me. And I guess you can say one of my love languages is like positive affirmation. So I was like constantly always working for that. But after that, I got laid off, like I said, which was a blessing in disguise, because we do get, it's called EI unemployment here, or any kind of like payment you get for being laid off. But through that, it gave me time to kind of figure my life out. I was also dealing with the tragic loss of my mother, who passed away in an accident on Halloween night about 8 years ago. And then shortly after that, my dog died. So I was really dealing with like everything. And you're kind of like at that point where like, well, there's nothing else to lose here. So we're just going to roll with whatever happens next. And for me, I was going through this period where I was like, okay, something has to change because I cannot keep going like this. And my biggest thing in my mind was like, okay, we got to switch up scenery, switch up my environment. And I went traveling to Europe for 6 weeks by myself. And before I left, I didn't want to lose my apartment or anything like that. So I went to Airbnb through a recommendation of a friend, listed out my property, which surprisingly got booked the whole time I was away, covered not only my overhead at home, but also my travels. And while I was away, I really fell in love with hostels and the boutique hotel designs there, and really how you could connect with people. And I was blessed enough when I got back. A friend put me in touch with this developer who needed an interior designer. And at the time, I was quite new to design, and he took a chance on me. And since then, like, of course, I learned everything I could from him. I worked for his company for a couple of years, becoming VP of his company, until our agreement was always I would take in all the knowledge I could, and then I was out from there. I think he hoped that that day would never come, but it came, and there has been no looking back since. I am very blessed to have gone through that journey and to see where I am today.
That's it's amazing. First and foremost, thank you for sharing. And if you don't mind, I want to spin the wheels back just a little bit. Because you mentioned that you said roughly 8 years ago, you was having a really rough time in your life. You laid off from your job. Unfortunately, you lost your mother. Right after that, unfortunately, you lost another loved one in your family, which was your dog, right? And at this point in time, you decided that you need to switch your environment. What was your mindset then? And how did you come up with that? Was there books that you read? Was there influencers in your life that guided you that way? Like, kind of allow us to live through that time within your head and how you decided to say, hey, I'm going to kind of go see the world to better yourself.
Yeah, and that's such a deep question that you ask that, and it like kind of brings me back to that time. For me, I was in a place where I wanted any sign. I was begging the universe to give me a sign, of what I should do next, how I should move forward. But I was also pushing a lot of people who cared about me in my life away, because I felt like they didn't understand what I was going through, while at the same time, me not being able to process actually what I was going through. I just wanted to feel like I had that time to not only grieve, but think and not feel the pressures of everyone else, or everyone else being like, I'm so sorry for your burden, or checking on me. Like, we know people mean well when they say that, but when you're going through that, you're like, please just don't talk to me. Like, that is kind of what the process is. And I do feel sad looking back on like how I reacted to some sense of like pushing people away, but I really needed that to go through that to kind of understand who I am today and where I wanted to be. Going through that process, I also like was in search for anything that would, as I said, would give me that sign or make me feel closer connected within myself. So I was doing counseling. I was going to counseling every single week. For anyone who isn't in counseling or has thought about counseling but is too afraid to go, like 100% go to counseling. That is like, and it doesn't have to be because someone died in your life. Like literally anything just to work on yourself and better yourself, that is number one, because it allows you to kind of get out all those thoughts and work through it yourself. Like the counselor's just sitting in the room. They're not doing anything really other than being like, oh, and elaborate more than that. But it allowed me to really take all, am I allowed to swear on here? It's not really a swear.
Yeah.
You have to take all my bullshit and all my baggage and really get it out. Because you know when you go to a friend and you just like constantly complain to that friend over and over, but really that you don't want the friend to give you an answer. You just want them to like be your sounding board and listen to you. It allows you to get all of that out. So when you are actually in the real world, you can just live your life. You can enjoy those moments with people that you care about while also like growing, you know, you're growing yourself to the point where you can accept better things in your lives. On top of that, I was doing a lot of workshops. So like yoga, meditation, a couple of like, they were called full moon workshops. So they were all like women workshops every full moon. And it was really cool because they would work on a lot of things that would help heal trauma. So like shadow work or connecting with one another's. And the thing about those workshops at times, I'm a person where sometimes I could feel really silly if you put me in a position where we're like really sharing our feelings. But the more I leaned into that, the more I healed myself. And the more you will see that we're all actually feeling the same. We have the same insecurities, the same worries. And that was really cool to come to that realization, because then we can, as people, can understand how alone we actually are not. If that makes sense. I don't know. But so that helped healed me a lot. And then just going and traveling during that time allowed me, when you travel by yourself, you open yourself up to so many things. I was saying, I'm surprised I'm not kidnapped today, you guys. I was saying yes to so many things. And like, it was just such a beautiful experience. I was definitely like living that European, like falling in love every city I went to. Or, you know, I remember one time just thinking, well, this could go really wrong. And on one of my last nights in Europe, I just said, this guy was like, hey, would you like to go to dinner with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, okay, I'll pick you up on my Vespa. So I'm just hopping on this random guy's Vespa and we're just, you know, going through Amsterdam, and here I am just living my best life.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't die. It was a great date and a wonderful experience.
That's fantastic.
I mean, that's super powerful. I mean, I think what you just shared is super deep, and I think there's a lot more there, right? As far as like mental health and healing and self-care, and there's not enough discussion about it, even though I think it's becoming more mainstream. There's just not enough discussion, and I appreciate you sharing, because I think, you know, full moon workshops, I mean, I only thought full moon was like the full moon parties that you see, like people go in different, you know, countries and they do the full moon parties. I've heard of those in like Thailand. And but I want to talk a little bit about the traveling piece, because I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, as far as it opens you up to so many new experiences. And, you know, it also allows you kind of explore, you know, what works and what you like and what you enjoy. So maybe just share like one experience that really opened you up to something new that you were not exposed to, and how it's maybe changed your life forever, or how it's changed your outlook.
Ooh. That's a good one. I have to think about that. But I think, okay, so one of the things, and I know, Lenny, also kind of going back to your question too, for anyone that was at the Midterm Rental Summit, they know, and of course at the Level Up Your Listing Summit, you know I am a big fan of the psychology of space and how that affects us. And that is a huge thing that is a huge contributor to our mental health. So our spaces that we're in really control our mindsets, and if that can be a positive one or a negative one. And through traveling, it really expanded that for me, because I'm, every week I was going into a different city. I was in a total new environment, not knowing anyone and having to meet people and connect. I was a lot more open than I would be at home. At home, I probably would have been more guarded or shy, but traveling, nobody knows you. You could be whoever you want to be, and that can be really exciting for a lot of people. For me, one of the things that I think I really realized through traveling is the amount of people that you can connect with. Not only did they change my life, but I influenced theirs. And it was really cool to see. Like, I have friends to this day. Even when on a total separate trip, I went to the Cayman Islands and I connected with this photographer, and he messages me to this day how inspiring not only meeting me it was, but like now watching me along my journey, how much it inspires his day to day to keep pushing through with photography. And that to me is what's beautiful, is like we have no idea how we influence people. And it's the same thing for the people that I met during my travels, the friendships I made, how they shaped me today, how I have opened up my mindset, my point of view. I'm a big person. I always try to look at everyone's point of view in a situation. And the more that we take that in mind, like I said, we are all in the same boat. We feel the same way. We're all searching for some kind of purpose. And it's really cool because when you kind of let loose and open yourselves up to these beautiful little moments, that's where you actually find purpose through.
Thank you for sharing those little moments with us and the audience. It's really special, especially when you travel and you get the opportunity to meet people and, they meet you. And I always like the double-edged sword, I call it, where both of you providing some type of value in one another's life. And I was obviously just out in LA, and it was a guy that I met originally I met him in Orlando, and it just so happens that he lives in LA. And, we posted that we were coming to LA, we gonna have a meetup, and his kid was having a birthday party that day. And he left his kid birthday party to come to our meetup. And he mentioned a few things to me, which I kind of didn't know was this deep, but on how, I think words I said to him changed a lot of viewpoints. And what worked for me is him actually coming out and actually saying those things to me and allowing me to say, wow, it's very important that I do invest in people that I see and feel some type of connection with, because my words are impactful and that powerful. And I love the way that you say the mindset and the viewpoint of all this traveling, and I really do. So let's speed up this story a little bit and sticking with travel just a little bit. How much did this travel play with you going from country to country, staying in place to place, and now, improving on your interior and decorating skills?
Oh, huge. For most of my inspiration, I take a lot of things from travel, from places I've seen. My phone is full of pictures of architecture, or if I go to this nice restaurant or anything, then I'm like, oh, that would be really cool in a short-term rental or in my client's house. And that's really what I think is the essence of design. It's not only the psychology of space, but it's creating this like whimsical wonder of where you're staying, because people, they want to feel like they've stepped into something special, especially when we're talking about short-term rentals, that they wouldn't necessarily have at home, or that they would have that everyday experience to enjoy.
So we're always, I think, when you spoke about we're all looking for purpose. So as you go through this journey, how do you feel that even your purpose evolves? Because it's like you've traveled to a lot of places, you go to conferences, you're coaching, you're helping people, you're designing spaces. I guess, how would you think that evolves, or how's it evolving for you as you're going through these experiences?
Yeah, I think for me, my purpose is like ever changing. Right now, I'm in a phase where I really want to deliver, of course, before it was, I want to serve people and create beautiful spaces. And now it's elevated upon that, where I'm really big in the mental health side and how our spaces affect us. And I really want to educate people in the value it is in creating spaces that help personal growth and help contribute to better mental health.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Hey, I got a funny right now, right?
Yeah.
So you were on stage at the midterm rental, and you threw up something which I think some people kind of was like agreeing with, some people wasn't, and it was it was two images. On one side you had like this niched out place, right? Kind of, for the listeners, think of like when you go to like Disney World, right? And you go to, one of these places you've read, and it's all kind of niched out to like a Marvel character or something, right? And then you had like this elegant place, next to it. And can you, I guess, for the listeners, explain the difference between the two, and which one you favor the most and why?
Yes, my controversial topic of why I prefer timeless designed properties over themed ones. So it's funny you bring that up. I know I have to always give the disclaimer, like, do not come for me on this topic. But to be honest, when you actually break it down to the basics, it makes sense. And it makes sense. Of course, always assess what your goal is. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? And for me, and for most of my clients, we want not only a booked out calendar, but we want to get the most that we can for our investment. And with that being said, through a timeless property, so when we're talking themed properties, we are talking, just like Lenny said, themed out to like the T, to the point where like this is Barbie's dream house, or I think the one that I had on there was like completely Toy Story themed. And in the midterm, and this works for both midterm rental or short-term rental, but I've confirmed I confirmed actually with Tony and Sarah at Level Up that themed properties on average book 2 to 7 days. That's what most bookings are. As with a timeless aesthetic, you are making yourself more flexible. Therefore, you're reaching a broader audience. If we're speaking, short-term rental, yes, you can still get those 2 to 7 bookings. You can get those 2 weeks bookings, the 2-month bookings. Really, your options are open, which gives you the opportunity to also build upon those midterm rental ones. So creating business-to-business relationships and being able to be flexible with your calendar and pivot when you need to. The other thing was that it's actually lower maintenance if you have a timeless aesthetic over a themed one, because with themed properties, every couple of years, you're actually going to have to dump a bucket full of cash into it just to keep it up with the trending cultures. And then of course, I'm a big fan of like resale value. I I don't know about you guys, but if I'm looking to buy a house, I'm probably gonna buy the timeless designed one over the Toy Story themed one, just because I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to dump some money into that. Um, and last, one of the things that you really want to think about is through the pandemic, that all taught us a lesson, like especially depending if you're an investor in short-term rentals or just into doing flips. You want to make sure that you are flexible, you can think on your feet, you can change things if you need to. And through a themed property, yes, it's great for those Instagrammable moments, but eventually, like any theme, they do get tired. They start, getting boring, and people aren't going to book it like they used to. As a timeless design property, you're always going to have the same business. You're still going to be able to cater to families, to your travel nurses, your business professionals, to couples, whatever it be. You can easily pivot towards that.
I'm a big fan of classic, just so you know. So we have a bunch of tiny homes.
Your properties.
So no. So we have 12 tiny homes or I don't know, something like that. But a bunch of them are themed. But I can tell you that 2 of the 3 top performing properties, they have the classic timeless look. So just that kind of to your point. But there's one that does really well, and it's maybe a little bit more themed. But I also think, just outside of just aesthetics, like even my appearance, like I just like a clean look that's timeless, because I think, like you said, I think that's just easier to maintain long term. So I love that. So let's transition into something else. Let's leveling up your listing. So tell us a little bit about that. Like what is that all about, and what is the intent with that?
Yes. So Natalie Palmer and I originally, when we first met in person, finally, we were friends for several months through Instagram, and we finally met in person at one of the conferences, STR Wealth, I believe, and we loved it. It was amazing. And the whole time, Natalie and I were like, we should really do something like this. This would be great. And as we were going through it, we were like, there's really a space here for women. But there's also a space, as a designer, I am huge on interiors and the guest experience, because at the end of the day, we are in the hospitality business, especially if you are specializing in short-term rentals. And I felt, everyone touches lightly on design, or they're like, the design matters. And that's like the end of the conversation. But we really wanted people to understand how much it actually matters, and really put people in fully immersive experiences. That's one of the things you'll see, like all the influencers, when they get invited to like brand events, they're fully immersive experiences. It's experiential marketing. And that's what really speaks to people today. And through designing our properties, themed or timeless, you can really recreate that for people. And it's like a shoe-in when you do that, and you kind of like have it down to a T, that those 5-star reviews and that the word of mouth referrals, they're just going to come pouring in because you've done it right.
Awesome. So it was a lady that we had a booth at the MTR event, right? And it was a lady that walked up to me, and she was looking for a certain type of another woman to follow. And she said, I'm trying to get this right. She said, do you know influencer that's here that kind of cater their experience to women that are single moms, right? I think that's what she said. And I said, I do, right? And the reason why I'm telling that is because, for leveling up, who are you catering to? Who is that, avatar that, should be really, really, really joining the community of leveling up?
Yeah, well, so when we actually did all of our surveys for our audience, we have 3 brand avatars that we ended up getting from the information provided. Of course, we have one of our brand avatars. Her name is Michaela, and that is the mom who is a stay-at-home mom trying to think of, ways that she can create a passive income or build an income while she still gets to have that time at home with her family. And that was a huge chunk of our audience for Level Up. The others were, we had, now I can't remember their names as much. I remember Michaela.
Rude.
I know, right? My poor avatar. The other one was a woman who is, older, the 45 plus range, who is probably divorced or going into retirement, who either manages properties and really wants to kind of like scale that. That's one of our brand avatars who is really kind of like look to scale, gather as much information and build upon her community. And then we had the young millennial types that are really looking for that time and financial freedom, ways that they can try to build passive income while, still learning. They're eager. Maybe they're listening to all the podcasts and going to all the events, and they really want to gather as much information as possible so they can, in the future, either retire early or build that generational wealth before they even start having a family.
So I created my own avatar. So I met somebody at the Mixer, and I was like, hey, like, you're looking for somebody with community that you want to be a part of, like a community. And she had just lost her husband, and I just felt like she needed like a support system and just a group of women that would be like, resourceful, helpful, supportive, soundboards, et cetera, et cetera. And then I walked up to you guys, and I just thought you guys were the perfect fit. So
yes, thank you for that introduction. She was amazing, and she came up to me after my speech too and said how much she resonated with that. So I'm excited for her. She's on to some big things.
Yeah, super cool. So yeah, no, I'm happy for you guys, and I think you guys are doing great things. And so let's talk about like where you are right now. So what's the plans? Like what's the big thing like coming on in the coming year for you?
Yeah, well, so I'm the type of person, I used to be such a planner, and I would plan everything, and things wouldn't work out that way. That's the universe had different plans. And I was so tired of like constantly being like, okay, well, I did all this work and I wanted it to work out this way. But like I said, the universe is like, no, this is how it's going to work out. You're going to learn the hard way first. That's kind of usually how it goes. But I have been so blessed to be able to, one of the things that was on my, I guess, like bucket list or my New Year's resolutions this past New Year's was I wanted to share my story, and I wanted to do more public speaking. And it's crazy because including like in person and the virtual summits, I've spoken just this year already like 7 times, awesome. Which is a lot. And I never thought that this would have been possible, going from writing this on a little like, mood board or visualization board to actually happening. And it is so cool and interesting because I am now very much going with the flow. So if an opportunity presents itself, I say yes. I think it through, obviously, if it makes sense, but I say yes. And that has done nothing but, give me the right path that I need to be on. Right now, this very moment, I am kind of reworking my branding to focus more on the message, like I said, with how the psychology of space is so important within our designs. And also the goal is to, work. We'll see if I get there, but the goal is to really work as hard as I can to either, HGTV or Netflix. That's the big end goal.
Yeah. All right. First and foremost, Find Your Freedom is 100% backing you. We're a fan. We're rooting for you. So whatever we can do to help you get to those goals, we'll love it. You just mentioned something that I think that a lot of people sit back and would like to do. And I talk to a lot of people, And a lot of people would like to share their story, and a lot of people would like to speak more. What tips can you give a person who's sitting down saying, I got a story to tell. I want to speak more, but don't know what direction to head into. What tips do you have for that person? Where should they start? What should they do?
A big thing is don't wait for that opportunity to present itself. If you want that opportunity, go out and get it. Make it happen for yourself. For Natalie and I, we wanted to speak on a stage, and we created that ourselves with Level Up, and now that has opened up so many opportunities for us. And you don't have to go out and throw a conference or anything like that to get started. Like, just start filming yourself on YouTube or on Instagram, or create a podcast and start sharing your story. Your tribe will find you. And, like I said, we all feel the same deep down in some kind of way. Someone is going to resonate with that.
That's great.
No, that's awesome. All right. So we're going to ask you a question. I feel like you're finding your path continues to change. And, it's just kind of taking you. It's like almost like you're in this like river, and it just kind of taking you in different directions, and, where the water flows to away. So what does find your freedom mean to you?
Honestly, I know I answered this question at the summit. I don't remember what I said, but hopefully it's similar. But, for me, my life has changed when I got to be able to create my schedule. I have that time freedom, and that means everything, because not only can I work on what I'm passionate about every single day, I get to help others create spaces for themselves that are beautiful, and, kind of help them introduce them to personal growth, are spaces that can really help elevate their life. So for me, to find your freedom is just get the opportunity to do what I love every single day, to share that information with others. Like I said, share my story, and hope that I don't need to be speaking to 400 people. If that resonates with one person, that is more than enough for me, and I've already done my work. And I don't know, just that one person that you could change their life is so special, more than like all the money or, fame or anything like that. Like that, I can't even explain that feeling. Like, I'm sure, Lenny, like when you talked to that person at the meetup, or Omid, when you were connecting with the woman that you introduced me to, like, do you guys kind of get that feeling that I'm saying?
Yes, 100%.
The heartwarming tingle,
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. And it's amazing. It is something I came home and immediately told my wife, because that wasn't something I went there for, right? Like, I went there for, me, I'm pushing on me, we got to do this, let's get all these people there, and sometimes, things are meant to be, and we had it. There was a lot of other things that came out of it as well. So, that great feeling of that you're doing something right, is always amazing, right? So, look, I mean, you are a bomb interior decorator, right? You got the leveling up going on. You also out here telling your story, speaking on so many different stages. And then people just want to also join your community because, they love your story. How can people get in contact with you on all different phases of your life?
Yes. Well, of course, please, if you're interested in the Level Up Your Listing Summit, join us there. It is an amazing community, very inspiring, a safe space. On top of that, Natalie and I are working on a community membership that will be coming out. And to get a hold of me, if you're looking at connecting, doing a consult, or just how I can help you improve your spaces, of course, follow me on Instagram at Tatiana Tait, or just shoot me an email off of my website. The link is in the bio from my Instagram.
Excellent. So Tatiana, what we like to do at the end of the show is we like to do this big, huge boom session. All right. So the objective here is to, burst some speakers, and just go as loud as we can. So I'm going to count to 3. And then in a uniform manner, after 3, all of us is going to say boom as loud as we can. You down with that?
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. I say
it? Fantastic. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Check this out. Here at Find Your Freedom, we don't have guests. We have friends. And Tatiana is definitely that. One of the things that I really love that she said is that she just loved to go out and help people in any way, shape, or form. And those are the individuals you really want to surround yourself by, because they are genuine folk, and I really, really, really thank Tatiana for coming on and sharing her story, because it's so inspirational. Now, with that being said, we need you to take a listen to this episode. And after you listen to it, we also need you to leave a 5-star review, because that's the way that we continue to bring episodes just like this right to you, to inspire you to find your freedom. And with that being said, we have something for your journey. Easily downloadable, absolutely free, packed with so much value. Just go to findyourfreedomrei.com/freedom kit. Once again, findyourfreedomrei.com/freedom kit. We also need you to make sure that you subscribe. We need you to make sure that you share this as well. Share this with your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your mother, your brother, your sister. Share with all your coworkers, the ones that you like, and of course, the ones that you don't like as well. Hey, just take the link and just send it to everybody in your contact. Until the next episode of Find Your Freedom, we talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Find Your Freedom. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're at it, please help us spread the word by leaving a rating and review and sharing the podcast with friends, family, and colleagues. Until next time, get out there and find your freedom.